A federal judge just set Cliven Bundy and 2 of his sons free, and we're talking with their closest elected ally right here on Nevada Politics Today. I'm your host, Victor Jakes. Michele Fiore is a Las Vegas City Councilwoman who previously served in the Nevada Assembly. She has literally been on the front lines of standoffs involving the Bundy family, both in Nevada and Oregon. In 2016, she helped peacefully end a standoff in Oregon with armed militia members, and she remains close with the Bundy family. On Monday, a federal judge threw out charges after finding flagrant prosecutorial misconduct based on actions that happened in 2014. Michele, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Victor. This is exciting.
It is, and I know you're excited with what happened on Monday, but I want to step back to 2014, and I know there's been a lot that's happened, but can you just give us kind of a 30, 45-second rundown of what happened in 2014 and what the charges were facing Cliven and other militia members?
Absolutely. So in 2014, I received several phone calls that there's government out there in Bunkerville killing cattle and rounding up cattle and tasing folks, and I mean, just unbelievable news. And I really have to tell you, I didn't believe it. So after about the 30th call for help, and I should have just went in on the first, but I ran out there. And I ran out there literally with the mind frame that I was going to show them that this wasn't happening. Government's not out here. They're not killing cattle. There's no snipers. But when I got there, I was appalled and embarrassed that we had a federal agency, the BLM, behaving in such a fashion to where they were literally harming Americans and brutally killing cattle. So I got out there, and every day for the next 12 days I stayed and watched it.
And then fast forward to 2016, federal prosecutors brought charges against several members of the Bundy family, and they've been basically walking through the stages of those trials. And there was a whistleblower memo that came out a few weeks ago that's led to the dismissal of charges against Cliven and his 2 sons. And I want to ask you, you're still close, you've talked to the family. What was their reaction to finding out that they're free?
So, these guys, from the beginning, I kept telling everyone, these are law-abiding, God-fearing individuals, right? Now, as a sinning Catholic girl that I call myself, right, the Bundy family just cannot be shooken at all of their religion and their belief in God. And their whole reaction to this is thank God. God did this. I was with Shauna Cox to midnight last night, and she said, I kept telling the attorneys, don't worry about it. God told me it was going to be okay. I just don't speak that language, right? I believe in God. I love God. I thank God for everything he does. But it's a different world where I don't thank God, I guess, enough when you look at it.
And I want to go to graphic 1 and look at what Cliven said to reporters. I'm not used to being free. I've been a political prisoner for right about 700 days today. I come in this court an innocent man, and I'm going to leave an innocent man. And I think what the prosecutors were trying to say is, look, the federal government, whether you like it or not, has supremacy. They were trying to enforce an unpaid debt that goes back to 1993 when he didn't pay his grazing fees as a protest involving the desert tortoise. Weren't they right? I mean, they were heavy-handed. They did too much. But fundamentally, weren't they right? Doesn't he owe those grazing fees?
So here's what I'm going to tell you. So whether he owed those grazing fees or not, they lied to the public, and the mainstream media helped them promote that propaganda. When this was all going on, I was an assemblywoman, and in my office, in an elected official office, I sent certified letters from Assemblywoman Michele Fiore asking for proof of the bill. Show me where we owe $1 million in grazing fees, because the federal government's spending about $27 million trying to collect $1 million, and I just want to see what does he owe in grazing fees, right? Never would they respond. Well, we found a 2011, so now this took place in 2014, 3 years. We found a 2011 bill that the BLM had sent, and it was for $8,000. And mind you that the Carol and Cliven Bundy sent a check for $6,000 to Clark County because they were okay with paying their fees. And Clark County cashed the check. And then when Clark County said, oops, this has to go to the federal government, Clark County sent them a check back. They never cashed that check. So do they owe $1 million or $2,000? So, and the BLM would never confirm nor deny that they don't owe $1 million, but they went along with the mainstream media. So of course we all have to pay our bills, but here's my real question. If you don't pay a bill, should we send a federal agency to point guns at you and your beautiful children and your wife to pay a bill? Because that's, who's next when you think about it?
Well, I want to look at something, let's go to graphic 2, that we found out from a BLM whistleblower about how they were going to conduct that raid, basically. This is from Larry Wooten, and he was a BLM whistleblower. The investigation also indicated that on multiple occasions, former BLM special agent in charge, Daniel Love, specifically and purposely ignored U.S. Attorney's Office and BLM civilian management direction in order to command the most intrusive, oppressive, large-scale, militaristic trespass cattle impound possible. You know, I think that's been kind of your narrative for the last 4 years. That's been widely ridiculed. You know, here we're seeing it from someone in the BLM. How does that make you feel?
You know, I have to tell you, 4 years of constant scrutiny and 4 years of all the political things I do under scrutiny, referencing me as the Bundy girl, and I wouldn't back down. The truth is the truth, right? So I'm just glad that finally someone else besides myself is saying it, because now maybe people are listening, and obviously they were, because the case is dismissed with prejudice. This is something that we've been saying for a long time, and for the past 4 years with my own political scrutiny over this, and there's other alphabet agencies that when you go up against one agency, another agency steps in and they paint you as a target. And that has happened to me over and over and over again. So it has been definitely a battle, and I'll continue to battle and just get the truth out. But when push comes to shove, I think what really happened here is the prosecutor, former United States prosecutor Myrie, got caught finally breaking Brady violations, and I think there was 7, if I'm correct, that were just found out, 7, so obviously there's like 30, besides purposely suppressing evidence from the jurors and the judge, and his behavior was quite egregious. Now, you think about this former U.S. prosecutor, Myrie, and you think about his actions in this particular case. My question is, number one, how many wrongful convictions did he get from the same practices? Why isn't Brady violations criminal? Why don't we have prosecutors answering to what they do in the federal courtroom?
So I want to ask you a question on that. What should happen to folks, whether they work for the BLM or the district or the U.S. attorney, when they're found to have violated federal law in pursuit of, basically over-prosecuting folks?
So 2 things should happen. Number one, their immediate termination, and number 2, criminal charges, and have them go through the system, an eye for an eye, right? Have them go through the system, have them go through scrutiny, have them have a prosecutor prosecuting them, and let them feel the pain that they've endured on people. Something
related to that, Nevada got a new U.S. District Attorney, Dale Ellison, came from Texas. No one here really knows her. Was her appointment related to what's happened with the Bundy situation?
So I don't want to confirm or deny, right? But I will tell you that Myrie came from Obama, right? He came from that appointment. And so there's a lot of changes going on. And I think our Texas acting U.S. attorney right now is temporary because she is not from Nevada. I personally have a favorite, which is Bernie Zadrowski. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a prosecutor here in Nevada. He's a great guy and a fair guy. And just from knowing him and seeing him in action, I just don't see him creating Brady violations.
So what do you think she's going to do, though? Is she going to move to dismiss the charges? Is she going to appeal this judge's decision throwing out the case?
Absolutely not, and here's why. Victor, I believe this is the beginning of many pawns to fall if this is a chess game. And if you've not noticed, this is just day 2, and the mainstream media in Nevada has been quite quiet on it already, because they want it just to hush hush and go away. Outside of Nevada, it's a firestorm, and especially globally, because we are setting the example here that American citizens are the governing of the government, and we need to govern the government. And I think if this case would have went any other way, our First and Second Amendment would have been in jeopardy.
You know, jumping back to the larger issue of lands, let's go to graphic 6. I think this is what really drives a lot of the contention in Bunkerville and in the West. This is a picture of federal land ownership, and you can just see the Western United States, the feds own a majority of that land, including 85% in Nevada. You know, what's the long-term solution for this?
So the long-term solution, Victor, is Nevadans need to step up to the plate, take their lands back, and manage it.
And I want to end with this. I don't have time to go back into the whistleblower email, but it 18 pages. It's just incredible of the abuse by BLM employees. You know, do the Bundys sue? Do they have a case?
Well, you know, I will tell you that the judge has dismissed this with prejudice, which leaves it open for them to sue Myrie.
And we're going to have to leave it there. Councilwoman, great to have you on. Thank you for
Victor.
coming today.
That was great.
And thank you for watching. I appreciate you joining us.